Hey, honey,
Yeah.
I made you something.
You did? What'd you make me?
Unlimited fresh water.
Oh,
All the showers you want.
ooh, yay.
So we're finally out here. We are anchored off of one of the Florida Keys, a couple hours west of Marathon, about halfway between Marathon and Key West. We've got the water maker in. We've got a few hours on it already. You notice a difference in the Hare? It's lost its sanity. Wild Hare now fits in a couple of different ways, but running the water maker right now, so I was gonna kind of do this all backwards. I'll show you what I've done real quick. I'll let you listen to it running. You'll hear the generator also, but we went with the 120 motor, so we've got to run the generator. We tried running it off of our 2800 watt inverter. It does, but it would pull the batteries down. It pulls about 60 amps or so, I guess, with everything going. 65 amps at the high pressure, the low pressure, blah blah blah. So we charge everything up. We sailed today, and it is very cloudy, as you may be able to see out there. So let me flip this thing around and I'll go over the C Pro water maker system that I've got installed and now currently running. Heading down below decks, we'll just run it from one end to the other. We have a through hole. This boat came with a pure 40 water maker. It already had the strainer on it. I don't believe he recommends a strainer. His system used to come with it, but now it's been eliminated. I've got it on there. I didn't feel like replumbing all that stuff, so I just left it on there, and I'm very careful to make sure it's clean. Right here is that black right there is the 12 volt booster pump. You'll see with that switch right there, booster pump, that simply picks the water up out of the ocean and pushes it through to the high pressure pump. Simply what it says. The only problem we have had so far, and we're having discussions with them, the seals on the water filters are leaking. I pulled everything back out. I even sanded the top of the water filters down to make sure they just weren't bottoming out. And it's not a huge amount. That was not doing too bad today. That one, you can see water on my hands. It's still leaking. So I guess I'm gonna have to replace the O-rings in there, but for another day. This is the line that comes up from the booster pump through a check valve into the 20 micron filter, into the 5 micron filter, and then over to the high pressure pump. He also supplies a timer. I'll get you over here where you can see that. Kind of nice, so you don't have to worry about doing flushing the system if you're not going to be running for three or 5 days. I have it currently turned off. We're running it enough. He says every 5 days you run it for 10 minutes. So I think, yeah, well, you see those settings on there. He said to set it on 72 hours and then set it for 10 minutes. So it will flush your made water out of your tanks, and it'll use your house pump. So it will actually use a bit of electricity. Goes through a carbon filter and then back through your sediment filters. Goes through the carbon filter to absorb anything, chlorine or anything that you don't want into your membranes. So either way, like I said, it goes through your sediment filters, and if you're coming out of your tanks just for a flush, it will go through the carbon filter first. Then we come to, I've got a blower in here, so it's not only taking out the air from the generator, pulling some heat out, it's also pulling heat out of this compartment. You can't hear it because the generator's loud enough. So here is your high pressure pump with the motor. Obviously this is the 120 volt. There was some confusion when I put this in about if you can run it forward or reverse. Talk to them, it does not matter how you wire it up. Definitely if you don't measure in and you wire it up. There's a wiring diagram on here. Look at that. If you're confused, give them a call. It's not complicated, but if you've never wired up a three-phase motor or high voltage, low voltage motor, you need to make sure that that's correct. So the water comes in through the distribution panel, out to the high pressure pump at the bottom, through the high pressure hose, into, we went with the 40 GPH membranes. So although the arrow is pointing this way, it's actually flowing down through this membrane, which gives you 20 gallons an hour. And then there's a little loop that flows back through this one at another 20 gallons an hour. So we have 40, 45 gallons an hour. This line goes to the freshwater tank. This is where the cleaned water is coming out. And the high pressure hose coming out of that and goes back to the control panel, to the valve, which you control how much pressure is being pushed out into the freshwater tanks. You're not supposed to exceed 900 psi. This is your booster pump pressure. I've got a sail in the way. This is the water flow meter. There's a little metal ball in here. You may see it kind of moving. It only goes up to 30 on the mark, but he said this is 45, so we're somewhere between 40 and 45 gallons per hour. Then it comes with this handy little total dissolved solids. Is not supposed to exceed 600. I think that's a little high, but we will usually run about 140 to 160, and that's going to change based on obviously how much stuff it's cleaning. The condition of your membranes is the biggest part, but also the water quality. I think the water temperature will also do that. So switch for the booster pump. This is direct off of the 12 volt panel over here, and then 120 volt panel powers to this one. So there are breakers here, but there's no fuse or anything between there and there. But I do a good job of securing my wiring. And it also comes with a overboard through hole, but I didn't feel like drilling another hole in the boat, so I had an extra fuel vent. I connected to this one. So this is the super salty brine water coming out. Back down here, that white line is from the membrane up there that I showed you. It simply comes back down. Actually, it goes to the control panel. No, it does not. So this white line here, it comes directly from that. It comes off of the membrane, down under the floor, over, and goes to a shut-off valve in case I need to. We don't have any way to physically check the water, so you shut that valve off, pull that off, and you can taste the water coming out without making a great big mess of everything. The only other part to do was on this flush system here. You do have to tap it into the cold water side after your pump. So this is up to the faucet. I just put a T in here, tapped it, put it in there, and then we can flush anytime we need. Other than that, I mean, you hear the noise. Most of the noise actually comes from the membranes. So if you don't have them inside the boat, and if your generator is quieter than mine, it's not bad at all. I'm very happy with the pumps themselves. The system, other than the water filters leaking, we're doing fine, and that may just be an O-ring issue. So I'll probably just replace those. And we did opt for the panel. I wouldn't go without the panel. It just seems like you're going to be trying to rig stuff up yourself. It looks nice. It's a few $100 more, but you've already spent $3,500 or $2,500 on it. Just go ahead and spend a couple $100 more. Get the panel. It's all plug and play. It's super easy. It's got the TDS meter, which in there it's going to tell you the quality of your membrane. So just real quick, with it quiet in here, I'm going to show you how to run this with it off. Booster pump. Turn it on. Check, make sure you have water flowing overboard. Let it run for a couple of minutes just to kind of flush everything out. I like to look at my water filters in here, see if we have any air bubbling. You definitely want to check and make sure that you have water flowing before you flip the second switch. After about 2 minutes, you turn on the main high pressure pump. I let it run just for a minute or so, and then you slowly start to close this valve. So what this does is transfers the water from where you're dumping it out of your brine, basically, your overboard, and starts to put pressure through the high pressure hose, and that forces it through your membranes. It will filter out all the impurities, all the salt, anything that won't fit through the super fine mesh, and what goes through the mesh then goes out this hose into your freshwater tank, and the super salty brine will go back here and then go into your discharge. So take a minute or two, slowly increase this. You turn it clockwise. You always start it completely open, no pressure on the membranes. As you slowly turn this, you will see the pressure increase. On here, you should run it about 700-800 psi. Watch your water flow over here. If you have 20 gallon an hour, you should be up at around 20 gallons an hour. Say we have 40, so we bounce around the 40-45 line up here. You let that run for the amount of time you want to let it run. Make the water, and as you slowly decrease this, the water starts to pour back overboard. I let that run for a minute, just a few seconds. Turn the high pressure pump off, and then I leave the booster pump on to kind of flush that super salty brine out of the system. Probably don't have to. I try to keep an eye. Check the TDS every 15 minutes or so. Come down here, check your pressures every 15-20 minutes. Just make sure everything's okay, so you don't have leaks, you don't blowing something up. And once this all turned back in, once you flush the system out a little bit, flip that one off, you're done. You have fresh water in your tanks. So Kelly and I want to thank you for watching the video. We want to thank Seawater Pro for supporting the channel. There is a link down in the description for a discount. Go on their website, I'll put that down there too. Check them out. If you have any questions, you need a custom system, you need something different put together, just give them a shout. Customer support is above and beyond.
It's pretty awesome. And have water, the ability to make water when you need it.
When you don't need it.
It's great.
Yeah. So give Seawater Pro a call for all your water maker needs. Check the links down below, and check out the new Sailing Wild Hare channel for all of our current videos. This one is just a technical video that didn't really fit on that channel, so we're going to throw it on here. And like I said before, thanks for watching.